Hello, friends. Mr. O'Connor here to read a book with you today. I just finished looking at the Cincinnati Zoo, who put some of their animals live on a website. My friend Penny told me that you can do that, so I was checking it out this morning. It's really interesting if you want to check it out too. And it made me think of a book that we could read together today because it's about a real animal that really lived that ended up spending some of its life at the zoo. And that book is called Ivan, the remarkable true story of the shopping mall gorilla. So, as always, we're going to do three things before we check in on the front cover. We're going to ask a good reader question, we're going to talk about the genre of this book, and then we're going to talk about a word that will help you better understand the story. So the good reader question is, what animals have you seen in a zoo? What animals have you seen in a zoo? Now, I've seen lots of animals in a zoo, but one of the ones I'm going to tell you about today is flamingos. I've seen flamingos at the Woodland Park Zoo, and I just remember them really sticking in my brain because of that bright pink color that they have, although the babies are gray. I thought that was interesting. So what animals have you seen in a zoo? If you're able, pause this video and talk to someone near you about animals that you've seen in a zoo. Great. Thinking about the animals that you've seen in a zoo will help you be able to connect this story better. This story's genre is nonfiction. That means that the author wrote it to tell us something, teach us something new and true, to write about someone who really lived, to give us some information, or in this case, an animal that really lived. The kind of nonfiction this book is a biography. The word that will help you better understand this story is I say, you say, petition. Petition. Let's clap that word out. Ready, set, clap. Petition, like a wizard. Petition, like a robot. Petition, always count. Petition. How many parts to that word? That's right, 3. And a petition is a list of people's names who want to change something. A list of people's names who want to change something. That word will come up in this story. So let's move on to the front cover. I can notice some things on the front cover. I noticed that the characters in this book are gorillas, but even so, they still have an age identity. I noticed that one of them is a baby and one of them is a grown-up. I noticed about their family identity too, that this grown-up is taking care of the baby, holding them close to their body. So that being said, let's begin. Ivan, the remarkable true story of the shopping mall gorilla by Catherine Applegate and illustrated by G. Brian Carnes. In leafy calm, in gentle arms, a gorilla's life began. The baby was born in a tropical forest in Central Africa. He was part of a large family of western lowland gorillas. The troop included babies, juveniles, females, and a male leader called a silverback. The more the baby gorilla grew, the more he played. And the more he played, the more he learned. He rode on his mother's back, and he listened to the hoots and grunts and chest beats of his father. He watched the older gorillas, clever and quick, as they wrestled and chased and swung from vines. Now here's the author telling us that baby gorillas watch other gorillas to learn how to do things in the world. That's how they learn how to be gorillas. They watch the older ones. He did not learn about humans until it was too late. I wonder what the author means until it was too late. That makes it sound like something bad is going to happen. Poachers with loud guns and cruel hands, that's a red word, stole the little gorilla and another baby. After thousands of miles and endless days in a black, damp crate, at last came light and fresh air. The jungle, green with life, was gone. The gorillas had traveled halfway around the world to Tacoma, Washington. You know what, friends? That's really near Seattle. A man who owned a shopping mall had ordered and paid for them like they were a couple of pizzas or like they were a pair of shoes. The illustrator is showing us that a person paid money to have these gorillas taken from their family and taken from their home. That seems wrong to me. People cooed and laughed and held the babies, dressed them in human clothes, and fed them human food. The shopping mall owner ran a Name the Babies contest. The winning names were Burma and Ivan. I noticed that they're really treating these baby gorillas like they're people. One dark day, soon after the babies arrived in their strange new world, Burma died. Without her, Ivan was all alone, with too much left to learn. I remember from before that baby gorillas watch other gorillas to learn how to do things. How is Ivan going to learn when he's all alone? While he was little, Ivan was cute and cuddly. For 3 years, he lived in a home like a human child. He slept in a bed and went to baseball games. He held babies and rode on motorcycles. He had to learn many things gorillas who live in the jungle don't ever need to know. The one thing that Ivan didn't need to learn was how to eat. And the more he ate, the more he grew. And the more he grew, the less he could live life like a human in a human home. I'm worried, friends, that a problem is happening. Ivan is living like a person and doing person things, but he's not a person. A cage in the mall became Ivan's new home. There wasn't much to do in his cage. Sometimes he watched TV. Sometimes he played with an old tire. Sometimes he finger painted, signing the papers with his thumbprint. But mostly, he watched the humans watching him. Sounds lonely and a little bit boring. Ivan was about 13 when his coat began to shimmer with silvery white hairs. He'd grown into a silverback gorilla. In the jungle, he would have been ready to protect his family. But Ivan didn't have a family to protect. Year after year passed. People began to grow angry about Ivan's lonely life. Children and adults wrote letters and signed petitions and held protests. A good reader will remember that petitions are a list of people's names who want to change something. I'm pretty sure I know what it is they want to change. I noticed that people are trying to solve the problem that Ivan is alone and not being allowed to live like a gorilla. And they're using petitions and protests and letters to do that. Ivan lived in his cage without the company of other gorillas for 27 years before he was sent on another journey. This time, the hands were gentle. Zoo Atlanta wasn't a jungle. It was a place with walls, but still, the breeze carried jungle sounds and scents. And scientists who understood the needs of gorillas helped Ivan adjust slowly, carefully, and gently to his new life at the zoo. Finally, it was time. Was Ivan ready? Cameras clicked and reporters watched. When Ivan stepped out into the cool green grass, the sunlight gleaming on his silver hair, people cheered and laughed and wept with joy. Ivan, the shopping mall gorilla, was in a place with trees and grass and other gorillas at last. In leafy calm and gentle arms, a gorilla's life began again. And friends, you'll notice that the illustrator in this book used art materials to make the illustrations. Here at the end, the illustrator included a photograph of the real Ivan from when he was alive. It's a photograph of what he actually looked like. I have a good reader question for you today. The good reader question is, why did Ivan get sent to the zoo? Why did Ivan get sent to the zoo? The author never said that exactly with words, but we can use our brains to infer or use other evidence from the text to understand why Ivan got sent to the zoo. So think about that for a moment, remembering that a good answer will sound like, Ivan got sent to the zoo because, and I know that when the author wrote or the illustrator drew. So why did Ivan get sent to the zoo? If you're able, pause this video and talk to someone near you about why you think Ivan got sent to the zoo. Great. I think that Ivan got sent to the zoo. This is my answer. I think Ivan got sent to the zoo because the people noticed that it wasn't okay for him to be living a lonely life by himself in a cage, and so they did something to solve that problem. That's why I think Ivan got sent to the zoo. I think their petitions and their protests and their letters worked to solve the problem. The last thing we're going to do today with this story is to practice making I say, you say, text-to-text connections. Text-to-text connections. That's where our brain realizes how one text or story or book is like or connects to another text or story or book that we've read before. So there's lots of different books or texts that you've read that Ivan may have made you think of. I'm going to share one with you today and then ask you to do your own. For me, Ivan the Gorilla made me think of the book Jane Goodall for lots of reasons. But one of the reasons was that in both books, the author talked about how monkeys and people do some things the same. So that's what I wrote my text-to-text connection about today. You can read it with me. Ready, set, read. Monkeys and people do some things the same. Both of those stories were connected together with that, and it made my brain think of that. So I showed it in an illustration as well. For the story about Ivan, I showed how monkeys learn by watching. And then for the story of Jane Goodall, she also watched chimpanzees to learn about them. So both Ivan and Jane learned things by watching. That was something that they did the same. And that was a text-to-text connection that I had. Your job now is to make a text-to-text connection. Taking something that was in the story about Ivan and thinking of another text or book or story that you've read and connecting them together by something that's the same about them. Then you can show your text-to-text connection by drawing a picture, writing words, using words to talk about it, or all of those things. I can't wait to hear about your text-to-text connection.